Greetings viewers, I'm in a nice little bar in Munich in the Marienplatz, which is kind of the centre of Munich. For those of you who haven't been before, that will explain the ambience in the background, which I hope adds something to the video rather than taking away. Obviously I'm here because Arsenal are playing Bayern Munich in the Women's Champions League quarter-final tomorrow night, or Tuesday night, depending on when you're watching this, at the Allianz Arena. Now, I've just had quite a lot of pork knuckle, and just enjoying a nice weißbier, because when in Munich, why not? But aside from that, from enjoying the pleasures of Munich, obviously I'm going to head to Jonas Eidevall's press conference this evening. Jonas will be joined by Manu Zinsberger as well. It's obligatory at UEFA press conferences for a player to join the manager as well, and obviously they've chosen Manu because she played for Bayern Munich herself for several years. So very, very intriguing tie. I'd call this a coin flip tie overall between Arsenal and Bayern, two quite similar teams, so I think have quite similar strengths as well. They're both pretty solid defensively. Bayern have only conceded 4 goals in the Frauen Bundesliga this season. They've got a solid double pivot of Sarah Zadrazil and Georgia Stanway. Georgia, of course, will be known to a lot of English football fans. And I think they're kind of similar to Kim Little and Leah Volti. Maybe Georgia Stanway's a bit more combative, but I really feel like the tie is going to be won and lost in that midfield battle. And Bayern Munich have got a lot of talent in the number 10 position. They can call on Lena Magull and Linda Dorman as well, who are both big players for the national team as well. So really, I think this is a really intriguing tie. I think it's really difficult to call exactly who's going to win. Now, like I said, Bayern don't concede many goals. Arsenal have started to put it together in attack a little bit more in recent weeks. I think they've kind of gone past the stage now where obviously they miss Beth Mead and Vivian Miedema, but I think they've got over that now. They found another way to play. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see, to see how particularly this leg, the first leg in Munich, really goes. I think particularly with the second leg next week at Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, I've got the feeling this is going to be a real kind of chess match, as it were. Both teams really feeling each other out. Both teams are very kind of gifted in possession, but both pretty physical as well. And I think you'll see that both teams have a lot of similar strengths, and maybe that will lead to them cancelling each other out a little bit. I don't know. Bayern very strong in Munich, but a bit like Arsenal next week, they're not playing in their usual home ground. They're going to play at Allianz Arena, and that's largely because for UEFA competition in the Champions League knockouts, you must have VAR, and really that's just a way of, well, it's not just a way, but it's a way of making sure these games are played in the big stadiums. And over 10,000 tickets sold at the Allianz tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a similar number at the Emirates. But maybe Arsenal are more used to playing at the Emirates than Bayern are at the Allianz. I'm not sure. I think Bayern played there in the group stages, so I'm not sure whether there'll be an edge there or not. But the other thing that Arsenal may well have going for them, they didn't have a game at the weekend because they went out of the FA Cup. Bayern did, but they made very short work of Cologne. They were 5-0 up at half-time and won the game 5-0, so really a nice little training exercise for them. But Bayern, between these two legs, they have Wolfsburg at the weekend, and they are 2 points behind Wolfsburg at the top of the table. And really, looking at the tie overall, that's probably a good thing for Arsenal. They've got a massive game like that, but then you could look at it on the flip side and say, well, Bayern know they've just got 3 big games in a row against, opponents of a similar level, and maybe that keeps them on that level. So there's just so many subplots to all of this, which I think are kind of fascinating. But I think I've got a bit of a feel for a draw maybe tomorrow. These teams haven't played each other competitively before, and I just wonder if they might feel each other out a little bit for the first leg, and that in the second leg at the Emirates maybe we'll see a bit like when Arsenal played Chelsea recently and Manchester City recently. They played them twice in a week, and what you really saw was in the first game both teams feeling each other out a little bit, with a more decisive result in the second game. And I do think that might be what happens in this tie. But for Arsenal, they haven't been to a semi-final in a decade now, over a decade actually, and I think that would be massive for their season, having already won the Conti Cup. I think getting to at least the semi-finals of the Champions League would really demonstrate progress, not least because they went out at this stage last season to Wolfsburg, which obviously we hope doesn't happen this time. But until then, cheers.